What was banned in your school because of a crazy incident? In my middle school, they banned kids from saying, "Whoop, there it is." Yep. If you said it, you got detention. Whoop, there it is. Zip ties. People used to quietly and slowly zip tie people to their desks through their belt loops during class. Fuckers. So glad this isn't banned at my school yet. I'm gonna try this tomorrow. Brass instruments were banned in my school. I can't believe I'm reading that. Apparently my high school used to have an archery club for the mentally handicapped students. You kinda see where this is going. Someone got shot with an arrow. Archery club banned. Boxing gloves. Because a couple of years ago, a few guys started a fight club in one of the bathroom stalls. Bringing your own water bottles. It was only a matter of time until vodka was involved. I just drank a fifth of vodka. Dare me to drive? Glue sticks. There was a fad where people would throw glue sticks onto the ceilings all around the school. It became a big game about who can get one in the most bizarre place. Sharpies permanent markers. Senior year, a group of kids organized a knife fight throughout the school. Basically the people participating would wear plain white shirts and be split into gangs. Each gang was armed with a different color marker. The goal was to stab people on other gangs as many times as possible. After a couple injuries and couple people who accidentally wore white that day, the administration got more than a little angry. Edit. Plain to plain. My 3rd grade English teacher would be ashamed. Students weren't allowed to use the elevator after a couple was caught having sex in it. Our high school only allowed students with injuries. And the fat teachers to use ours. They banned scarves in my high school because apparently the first year principal got the idea in her head that only gang members wear scarves. The weirdest part was we lived in an upstate New York town that never had anything close to a gang problem. Long story short, every student protested by wearing scarves the next day. CNN caught wind of it. And my school got national attention for the first and last time. Shortly after that the principal was fired. Scarves were allowed again and everyone stopped wearing them like usual. TLDR principal banned scarves. Got fired almost immediately after. Flipping pennies. Group of people would flip a penny and if it landed on the side you called out, you would cheer. If it didn't you still cheered. Administration said that this was being used as a distraction to the teachers so that fights could go on elsewhere without them knowing. One guy got suspended for penny flipping. We had something similar at my middle school. Guys would stand in a circle, then someone would throw a handful of change in the center. Then they would beat the shit out of each other for the pennies. It was not a great school. My high school banned the word meep. Dot. You know, like from the Muppets? Teachers thought meep was used to mean something else, like something sexual. Nope. It was just funny to murmur it in the middle of class. You just reminded me of my school banning whale songs. For the same reason. They thought it was some crude catcall or something. I don't know. It was just really funny to make the noise of a whale and hear someone from the other side of the room call back. It really got going when someone from another classroom would call back and then another room. Boo-whoop. Boo-woo. Yoga pants. Or so they tried. Me and a bunch of friends, we are all guys, got together and wore them to school the day that the ban was supposed to start. The administration seemed helplessly amused and were forced to lift the ban. In my elementary school, my friends used to play pretend to be addicted to drugs and addictive substances like alcohol and smoking. One student came up with the idea that cocaine was a lot similar to sugar. So students started smuggling sugar around the school. Some genius ended up putting Kool-Aid mix into his and then everyone started calling it happy crack. This underground kiddie drug ring ran for about 4-5 weeks under the school's radar until a teacher caught 2 kids making a deal. Then everyone who was involved had to sit in a giant lecture in the cafeteria and listen to the principal explain that our happy crack was a gateway drug and that it would ruin our lives. TLDR, my elementary class made a drug and ran an underground ring across the school. School wasn't happy. Edit. Sweet baby Jesus. This blew up. Thanks for laughing at my childhood. Guys. One of my teachers is very laid back but has a strict no phone rule while he's teaching. 2 kids decided to buy walkie-talkies and bring them to class just to mess with the teacher. Now at the beginning of every year or semester he writes his cell phone policy on the board as well as his no walkie-talkie rule, in capital letters. Dodgeball. Because most games in girls' gym classes usually ended up as a race war or catfight. Tater tots were banned after Napoleon Dynamite came out. Apparently people kept hiding them in their pockets. Military recruiters in my high school are confined to having a booth in the hallway by the front entrance and walking around the cafeteria during lunch. They are not allowed to go into classes like many other schools. Except the JROTC class. This is because few years before I started there, a Navy recruiter in a class started telling students about his sexual exploits while traveling around the world. Silly bans. So apparently a kid got hit by a giraffe in the eye and had to go to the hospital. Holes in jeans were banned. You couldn't even have a fray, even if there wasn't a hole there, in your jeans without getting chewed out by the principal. So kids would put tape over their jeans to cover up the holes. Well, he banned putting tape over your jeans too because it's disruptive. Double quote. He then banned the girls from wearing tank tops underneath their low-cut shirts. They did this so their cleavage wouldn't show, because apparently a tank top is an undergarment. He also banned chains on jeans. Silly bans. And 2 guys were not allowed to go to a dance together. But 2 girls were. Changing the wallpapers on the computers was a no-no. Bouncy balls. Bringing your own water bottles. And bringing your own coffee was out of the question. He would take your phone and go through your messages if you were caught on it in class. Even if there was an emergency. There's more. But I forgot a lot of them because I graduated a couple years ago. From what I've heard he's still finding random shit to ban to make the lives of high school kids miserable. My high school principal was, and still is, an asshole. Edit. Spelling. Vending machines. Senior year. One nondescript day I noticed the candy machine wasn't completely locked. I thought, oh well. I got my Twix, I'm good to go. A classmate was behind me and took notice that I had fiddled with the door a little and that it wasn't locked. By 9 AM the machine was empty. All hell broke loose. Announcement called all the seniors down to the cafeteria to condemn us for it. Catholic high school. They knew how to guilt. A couple of my classmates were blamed. The ones with stolen goods in their lockers. The rest of us didn't get to use the vending machines at our free periods the rest of the year. I probably could have snuffed the whole issue out quick by slamming the door to the machine. But 18-year-old me didn't give a flying F. At graduation we all threw Hershey miniatures in memorial to the vending we lost. Glow sticks. Because at one of the dances, some kids were ripping them apart and throwing the chemicals over the crowd, resulting in some getting said chemicals in their eyes. They banned pogs at my elementary school. It's all fun and games until you play for keeps. We had a poop smasher incident that prohibited use of the bathrooms during lunch for an entire year. Edit. Alright. So, the poop smasher. One day, during lunch, the accused left the cafeteria to go to the bathroom. In an attempt to impress his comrades, he then squatted down and shat right in the middle of a styrofoam tray that had been laying on the ground. Since he believed that wasn't enough of a wow, he then took the tray and spread the contents all over the bathroom walls and the handles of the sinks. And that's how he was born. His name will forever remain in my heart. I love you. Poop smasher. There was a brief ban on paper airplanes in 7th grade physics class. The teacher then challenged the class if we could make 50 planes and land each one in the trash can from across the room. He would rescind it. Challenge accepted. Of course, an airplane that is crumpled into a ball and sealed with tape is still a plane. After 25 wents in he agreed that 1. I was a smartass. 2. The ban was rescinded. 3. I had better visit his class after graduating from engineering school. It was. And I did. Eating in the library. Some kid slammed a cheeseburger in a book and placed it back on the shelf. Our lockers in high school after someone set off a pipe bomb in his. In 8th grade. I was part of the first graduating class of a new school in my town. Since it was just starting out, administration was still finding its way. Because of this, as the year passed, they banned glue because of sniffing, Sharpies, ditto, and vandalizing. Rubber bands, they were used to fire wasps. Little pieces of paper at each other. Tennis balls, chucked them at each other for some reason. Walking across the cafeteria, or switching tables, or even walking clockwise around the cafeteria. They decided you could only walk counterclockwise around it to avoid students bumping into each other. And we had assigned seats. Not quite a ban, but when I was in high school, the school ceased the sale of all snacks and foods other than the standard lunch meals because there was a food fight that involved nearly everyone in the cafeteria and lasted the entire lunch period. Most of the administrators got hit with food in the cafeteria and all the surrounding halls were filthy. There was even a rumor that the lunch ladies kept supplying the fight with additional food. It was amazing. Winter jackets. I went to a pretty redneck high school, and those large, puffy Carhartt jackets were a staple of the redneck winter wardrobe. Well, one day some idiot in biology class decides that it would be a good idea to zip his jacket all the way up over his nose, pull his arms inside it, and smoke a bowl inside his jacket in the back of class. Obviously everyone could smell it, and he got caught. The administration banned the wearing of any winter jackets in class due to the incident. Usually not a big deal. Except that the school population had outgrown our tiny, outdated building, so we had some of those temporary trailer classrooms. Having to sit in one of those during first period, in the middle of winter, with no jacket, after the heat had been turned off all night, was a rare form of torture. Thanks, idiot redneck stoner kid. Edit. I agree with you all. It was totally the administration who is to blame in this situation. They just reacted without thinking it through. I will add that some teachers were very understanding and would let us put coats on in the trailer when it was brutally cold in there. Hell, it was just as cold for them too. For picture day, the administration banned students from wearing glasses in their school photos. This was because the previous year about 9 classes of students wore the same pair of glasses and passed them around until about 75% of the student body had taken a picture with those same glasses on. It was pretty damn hilarious. Even if the kids needed their glasses, they weren't allowed to wear them out of the fear that the same bifocal bonanza would happen again. Cheerleaders. Our team was caught giving guys blowjobs on the buses too often going to and from athletic events. Obviously this happened because they were cheerleaders and not for any other reason. We weren't allowed to bring backpacks or bags of any kind to school during the last 2 weeks of the year due to a senior prank that involved water balloons filled with bleach, urine, and paint. Dressing up for Halloween. Because some asshole had to come to school dressed as a dick. A couple years after I started high school, my former middle school banned lotion because a bold young chap was found servicing himself in the locker room. They posted no lotion signs all over the school. The vice principal at my school banned pajama day during Spirit Week. My high school stopped selling snacks because a kid bought over 100 Pop-Tart packets and started giving them to random people. Why do they care? They got their money. Cupcakes. Girl made batch of cupcakes and put in mustard, expired horseradish, mayonnaise, bits of hot dogs, boogers, nail clippings, and jizz. She gave it out to people who bullied her. Cupcakes. Edit. Jizz was from her homosexual friend. I grew up with this person. Wasn't really her friend, but she did have a unique sense of style and is obese. Bouncy balls. A bunch of seniors in my high school dumped a few thousand bouncy balls in the main hallway during the time between the morning periods. Kids grabbed them. Started throwing them. There were reports of people getting injured. Though everyone suspected such reports were exaggerated. By the next day, being caught with a bouncy ball was grounds for immediate suspension. This included holding one, passing one, tossing one, even just bouncing it outside. Stayed that way all year. Hazing the freshmen. Thanks a lot DCK, who took them through a car wash in the back of his truck. Banned across the city after that day. No capes. Asterisk. I worked at a private school that required uniforms all week, but Friday was casual day. It still had a dress code, but it was very broadly defined. There was this one girl, 13 years old goth, who kept coming to school in the most bizarre outfits she could think of while still staying within the dress code. Everything she came up with for pushing the line would inevitably end up in a revision to the dress code because she found yet another loophole. Girls could wear skirts of a certain length, so she'd come in with fishnet thigh highs on. Another time it was heavy gothy black makeup. Other times it would be some bizarre hairstyle. Every time I struggled not to laugh. Finally she came in with a vampire cape her mother sewed for her. Black on the outside, red velvet inside, wide collar. It was frickin' awesome. Between classes she'd hold it in front of her on one arm like Bela Lugosi as she made her way to her next class. In high school, a friend of mine was voluntarily cleaning a closet out for a teacher for extra credit and decided it would be hilarious to climb into the dropped ceiling, scale across a pipe to the middle of the classroom, pop his head out, and sing the Spider-Man theme song from the 60s. Now there is a statement, in bold, in the Student Code of Conduct for Broward County, banning students from climbing in the ceilings. P. To this day takes pride for that. Jukebox. High school thought putting one in the cafeteria would be a good moneymaker. And for a while it was. Kids were lining up playing a wide variety of whatever garbage high schoolers thought was cool in 2005. And bragging about it after. Well, one day my friend and I had enough. Our school was serving lunch from probably 1045 till 2. So we scraped together $60 and met at the jukebox at the beginning of the first lunch. It's been a while, so I don't really remember the money to song conversion ratio. What I know is that we had Cotton Eye Joe on repeat for the entirety of that first day. Until around 1 PM on the second day. There was no third day. There is a comedian that did something similar. He put What's New PSSY Cat on repeat in a dinner in a repeat of like 12 times. Except between the 6th and 7th times he put a different song. So everyone finally thought it was over. But ITF King wasn't. Axe body spray was banned from my middle school because some kid sprayed the remaining of his can into his mouth. He ended up doing some pretty serious damage to his tongue, inner mouth, throat and even stomach, and got really sick. To be honest, I'm kinda glad it got banned. Then kids only smelled like BO without that strange addition of whatever Axe they constantly had on. Butter packets. A group of bored middle school boys stole butter packets from the cafeteria and decided it would be hilarious to butter the top of a stairway, including the railings. A couple students slipped and the vice principal fell down the entire staircase. So yeah. After that we had to eat biscuits without butter. I managed to get flash drives banned for about 2 weeks because I put the Halo demo on the majority of the computers. Snowball fights. Our school dance was cancelled. Should note, I am Canadian. Cannot believe the school administration would be surprised after a heavy snowfall there would not be a snowball fight. Having more than 2 or 3 finals in one day. There was someone who had all of his finals in one day and he was super stressed up and just snapped. He just gave up. Started collecting as many fluorescent lights as he could get his hands on. He took all of his fluorescent lights to the top of dorm and hurled them down, screaming that he was Zeus. Since then we are only allowed to have 2 or 3 finals in one day. In my middle school they banned the word toast because some girl claimed she was afraid of the word, so people would scream it at her until she cried. My high school used to hold a contest for the senior boys called the MR. Waverly Contest. The school in question? Of course. Being named Waverly High School. They would perform a skit at the homecoming pep rally, with the skit that garnered the most applause marking the winner of the title. Of course. Somebody had to have a skit where he and his friends ran in portraying Chris Brown beating Rihanna with an umbrella. Seeing as how they were all white kids performing in blackface, the media kind of caught on. High heels in my middle school. 2 girls got into a fight over a boy and one of the gals jumped a heel into the other's face. Gnarly fight. Thankfully they had just finished building the hospital next door. Tennis balls were banned at my school. We all used to play brandings at lunch, which if you've never heard of it is just one kid standing against a wall while everyone else pegs balls at them. It's a great game until it's your turn. Tractors. Every year, my school had a drive your tractor to school day. One year, a kid broke his face when he drove his into a ditch on his old International harvester. Now we don't have tractor day anymore. Nerf guns were classified as weapons and treated as such. We played the Assassin's game and it sort of got out of hand. In junior high, the bottle caps on Gatorade bottles were banned. Kids got really good at flicking these things across the room. They were banned after when they were putting the little strip below the cap, inside out, on the caps, basically turning them into plastic ninja stars. We had to wear ID tags around our necks in middle school because a kid who graduated the year before put on his old uniform, snuck in the school, and started hanging out during lunch. Muck-up day got banned. Essentially, muck-up day is a day for year 12s to let off some steam before the exam period and is mostly harmless fun. From cross-dressing, putting frogs in fountains, food fights, etc. A few people over the years took it too seriously and did crazy stuff such as vandalizing cars and dressing up as terrorists in 2001, so it got banned at our school. Other schools allowed it with rules to prevent anything too crazy and their students were happy to abide. Our school had a zero tolerance and anything at all would get you expelled and unable to sit exams at the school. Which pretty much led to the mentality that if I'm going to get expelled, I might as well do something crazy, which has led to some serious car damage in the past. Everyone still did something, but 5 usually get caught each year. Banned from leaving mid-class for any reason. Did you have to see a teacher during class? Too bad. Did you forget your homework in your locker? Too bad. Did you have to take a shti so large it would have been of biblical proportions? Too bad. Did you forget your homework in your locker? When I was in high school they stopped serving bags of chips and sodas because of health stuff. But one of the teachers started a secret pseudo black market where you could buy sodas and chips from her in her classroom as long as you hid them on your way out and pretended you got them from home. All the profits she made were donated to the school's arts program, so it was actually really benefiting the school. But it got banned as more and more kids walked out of her room with cokes and potato chips in their hands. Luckily she's the type of person who can talk her way out of trouble, so she didn't get fired.